Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you here on this Monday. I hope everybody's ready to get the week started and enjoying the beautiful Indiana weather. What's the temperature in Indiana, by the way, Dustin?
It's 29 degrees. Actually, it's not even that. I think it's 19. It's fantastic. 19.
That is just awesome. That's fantastic. I'm trying to figure what is the temperature. 54 where I am, so it's not exactly hot.
And he was in
he
was in 3 coats.
What balmy locale are you in, Jim?
I am in a Florida location.
I see.
Undisclosed
Florida location in prison. I requested a Florida prison, please.
I see. Nice.
Definitely,
nice.
I did not want to go to the gulag in Russia.
Did some white collar crime there that gets you clubbed.
Yes, do that every time. Just finished up with Don Fisher. Don, acknowledged there's some problems with the Indiana basketball team right now, man. Some worries, which I've got them. I've got concerns with that program right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair. I didn't, I was on my way back from Cleveland when the game happened on Saturday, and then I went shopping Saturday night and covered the Pacers yesterday. So I was just literally watching a little bit of the game just to have a sense of what I was talking about. But man, that box score ain't pretty. That's for sure. There's a lot there, and some of it has to do with the fact that you go from having you get 1 point guard back, and then your other one gets hurt. And the freshman has to take over by himself, and he looked. I mean, just even the first 5 minutes before X gets hurt, he looked ragged. Basically, he looks like he's trying to force everything and driving into traffic and stuff like that. And that's that obviously drives a lot of the train when your point guard situation is off kilter. That causes you some problems. But that can't have been everything. Looking at these numbers, I mean, obviously, Trace Jackson-Davis must not have handled things well. He was obviously facing a lot of double teams. 4 of 8 from the field, 1 assist, 3 turnovers, not what you want. Just the rest of these numbers are rough. And, there are guys that should be producing that seemed like they were going to be producing who are not. This overall numbers are bad. 20 of 53, 6 of 19, 23 turnovers is just brutal. I mean, man, oof. I mean, and guys that don't turn the ball over. Trey Galloway with 4 versus 2 assists. I mean, that's not what you've seen. Hood Schifino with 5. That's not good. Jackson Davis with 3. Tamar Bates with 3. It just. Yeah, I mean, you got to step up and say, okay, well, those are 2 really good teams that they lost to. There's a chance Arizona and Kansas are 2 that are there towards the end that are Elite 8 teams, maybe Final 4 teams. But in Indiana is supposed to be somewhere in that range too, and obviously in those 2 games they did not play like it.
I mean, not only that, but the problem to me is the same issues that have plagued this team for 5-6 years continue to be the same. They're still very relevant. And I think a lot of people thought in the offseason, the reason for the hype was, Trace Jackson-Davis is going to be working with, some guys with NBA experience. He'll develop some sort of a jump shot. This team's going to be better at the 3-point shot. This team's going to be better defensively. They're going to have more toughness. When it's mattered most, none of those things have been apparent. I mean, they've shot the 3 relatively, a little bit better than they did last season, but obviously not well enough to win. To me, it's almost hard to talk after these losses because it's the same stuff every freaking week. For the past 5 years, it's just the same. There's
6 years
nothing else to talk about.
6 years.
6 years.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I mean, it has been something that's been hard for them to fix. Obviously, it starts with you don't have outside shooting you can trust, which leads to spacing that you can't trust. And when the movement doesn't end up being as efficient and helpful. Sid says the passing in the game by everyone was a joke. I mean, 23 turnovers.
It was awful.
Yeah, it was awful. I just caught a little bit of it. I didn't get all of it. I was just in the beginning.
23 turnovers. It was disgusting. I mean, and well into the back half of the second half. I mean, and I'm not picking on Trey Galloway, but I remember Trey Galloway pass. And I'm like, are you kidding me? He just lobs this little 4-foot floater to somebody. I'm like going, I could have almost stolen that from here. He almost gave me enough time to get to it.
And you don't see that, and that's a guy you don't see that from. Like Trey, that's not typical for Trey. Like to make stupid passes. I mean, like, what's his all-time assist to turnover ratio? It's really, really good. So like that's not normal. So I don't know. There's a lot there from Saturday that I've heard, that I've seen, that seems worse than usual. That's one thing I will say, is that there are certain things that you don't like. There are certain problems that are typical, and they got worse, and then other things were beyond that. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what went wrong with these guys.
And this is something I've been thinking of. And with all of the NIL, with all of the stuff, they're getting paid, they're doing Instagram Live or whatever they're doing. That's a lot of focus not on what they're supposed to be doing. Not that they don't have other things to take their mind off. You got school, this, that. I get that. You can't be focused on 24/7. I'm not asking for that. But it seems like it's going in a lot of other places now. And for a team that doesn't seem focused on what they're supposed to be doing and not doing it well, maybe spend a little less time doing those obvious things, like being on Instagram Live and all that stuff. I'm like, dude, I'd rather you want to send an Instagram post out, send one out from the gym.
Yeah. Like, I struggle with that, just because, first off, everybody else is getting NIL too. It's not like this is just an Indiana thing. And so I'm sure all the Kansas guys are getting plenty of NIL and getting plenty of opportunities, and so I don't know what they're doing versus not doing. And like, it's hard to put that in perspective, because we obviously, like, you don't get to see much in college. I mean, like, I get a sense, like, just with the access we have in the NBA, it's been like, the degree to which you feel like more of what these guys are actually up to is drastic, and look at college, like, again, it's all walled off, and that's Indiana, and that's everywhere. I mean, like, even schools that have good access, you don't really feel like what they're doing, and like, you can connect two dots and presume that that's all there is, and I think that can be a thing, because it's like, all right, well, when you lose, it's like, all right, like, everybody that somebody sees that's public, that was the reason, and I think it's really easy to jump on that. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're wrong either. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's a lack of focus there, that you're wrong in saying that there's a lack of focus there. That you're wrong in saying that these guys are, getting distracted, by the wrong things, not focused. I mean, like, for one thing, this is a week that is always an issue. It was finals. You go from Arizona to finals to Kansas, and so, like, yeah, there's NIL on top of that and everything like that, and I've seen teams that have made a point to never schedule tough games after finals week, because like, you lose practice time that week, they're not focused, like that kind of deal. Datarology makes a good joke. Kansas is getting NIL for years; they're used to it.
Fair enough.
Possibly.
He ain't lying.
But it wasn't out in the open, so they didn't actually have to. Maxine's got thoughts on NIL.
Maxine says, "Yep, I agree."
I would like to see a lot of reorganization as far as that's concerned. But yeah, no, I mean, there probably is a question that needs to be asked about focus, and I don't know if it's NIL related. I think it's really easy. I feel like every time that guys are having fun and then they lose, the thing that they were having fun doing must have been the reason they lost. Yeah. Like that's a very sort of like, standard easy sort of take. It's just like, all right, if you find a guy doing anything, this is a big deal in Pittsburgh. Juju Smith-Schuster was big on doing, I don't know, Snapchat or Instagram or whatever. And anytime or TikTok too, anytime he did anything, it was like, if he had a bad game, the reason was TikTok, and so it's like, it's a really easy thing to jump on. But again, I don't think you can look at this team and say that what it did on Saturday showed a team that was focused. So, whether that's the issue or, like, it's really easy to jump on a lot of hobby horses and say that this is the problem. But all the same, it is an issue. There is a problem with focus. It is a team that did not look locked in to what it had to do, and what it had to do was go beat one of the best programs in the country, defending national champions, in their building, and they clearly did not bring enough, focus for that task.
Well, we just talked with Don, and Indiana's got 2 games that you are assuming they're going to win coming up. I mean, is there a chance? Do we think Mike Woodson shakes up the lineup or something, or do something to get the attention of the players? Because there's got to be some sort of incentive here. Jim's shaking his head.
I mean, the bench isn't any better. Like that's the thing, is that like there are guys. I mean, like, I mean, when I look and see, okay, what is surprising me, and so this is like 10,000-foot view for kind of a lazy reason, you know. Like, I mean, I could spend more time watching these games if I'm being a little lazy by not doing that. But you know, what I look at and say, okay, well, what did I expect from this team? Why did I expect them to be better? Why would I have expected them to be more competitive in these games? Is because guys who were on the bench, I thought were going to be better, you know, and would perform better in these games in particular. And they've all had some decent outings, but like, I mean, I thought you would be able to expect a good amount of production every night from Tamar Bates, Jordan Geronimo, Malik Reneau. And you know, I mean, Bates has had some good games. He didn't have a good one on Saturday. He was, you know, 2 of 8, you know, with 3 turnovers. Malik Reneau is 2 of 4 for 6 points. I mean, he's just gotten really quiet after, you know, a really good start. You know, Jordan Geronimo, 4 points in 14 minutes, 1 rebound. I mean, like, you're just not, you know, I mean, like, he was one of the best. He was their best rebounder by minute guy. Trey Galloway, 25 minutes, 4 points, you know, 4 turnovers, 2 assists. You know, all of those guys have had moments when you're like, man, they're really, really good. And, you know, they get a ton of, you know, like Bates gets 20, Galloway gets 25, you know, minutes on Saturday. And, you know, they get 9 points in between the two of them. You know, so like you know, I'm not, like I think that's one thing I've always thought about the just bench all the starters deal is, well, okay, has the bench earned the right to get 30 minutes and start the game? You know, and if the answer is no, then okay, like are you sending a better message? I mean, like, if you're playing 9 and 10 man rotations, you know, and all you do is flip it, you know, and like you're trying to send a message. I mean, like, if your other option is, well, just play the walk-ons to make them mad, like, I mean, what you know, I've never bought into that idea. It's like, if your bench is outperforming the starters, then yeah, start the bench. There's a you know, there's a message to be sent there that the guys that are coming after your minutes are clearly doing a better job than you, and you need to be held accountable. And this is the way you're going to do it. But if the bench isn't performing, okay, what's the message that you're sending? You know, and these are all guys that are capable. I mean, these are 3 and 4 star recruits. If Reneau's not a 5, I think Reneau was probably, you know, was an edge 5 guy. So like, you know, these guys are plenty good enough to get minutes right away in the Big Ten, and they're not playing particularly well. So it's like, okay, are you sending any better message by you know, benching the starters? I mean, you got to get up into everybody. You know, if you're Mike Woodson, you need to get back to Bloomington and get into everybody. And what that, you know, like, I guess give the opportunity for people to win jobs. I mean, someone else has to start if X is out, right? If that's going to be a thing. So, you know, that's at least one shuffle right there. You know, I mean, like, frankly, someone should have had the, you know, like, if Race Thompson isn't playing well, there are 2 guys that are physically capable of taking that job, and they have not. So you don't hand it to them. You know, like, if Jordan Geronimo or Malik Reneau wants Race Thompson's starting job, they got to win it.